Hey, what's up? The weather is beautiful. It's such a good time to be a Chicago Bears fan. And there's a Chicago Bears starter that surprisingly might be on the chopping block. And the Bears have a player who was a sixth round draft pick out of Virginia Tech in the 2021 NFL draft. Hey, fandom check. Do you guys already know who it is? Since then, he's been a key contributor on this team. Now, this player is subject to trade rumors and straight up being cut, and that player is Khalil Herbert. This story today on yardbarker.com. It caught my eye. I want to talk about it. And by the way, this is Sports Talk Bears. I'm Sean. We've created together a thriving, positive community here, and we're making a drive towards 10,000 subscribers. If you love the show, join us. Hit the subscribe button. Would absolutely love to have you. So now let's get to business. I'm going to open up this story on yardbarker.com. I always want to give credit. And let's go to the story. Let's walk through what's happening here. For one, I think cutting or trading him, it's a huge mistake for multiple reasons, but please give me your feedback on this. He's a definite candidate to be traded, but I think it's a situation that happens sometimes. He's way more valuable to stay put as opposed to what we could get in trade, and let's outline why. But first, a little history lesson on Khalil. I mentioned he was drafted late in 2021. He was behind veterans David Montgomery, Damian Williams, if you remember him, but he immediately made an impact. He was solidly the number 2 back by the end of the year. And then in 22, he showed some big time explosion in a backup role. Just really nice job, while Montgomery was more of a plotter. Even though I don't fully agree on getting rid of Montgomery, he was a really good back for us. But in comparison that year, Herbert had 731 yards on 129 carries compared to Montgomery's 801 yards on 201 carries. So his production was noticeably way better. In his performance, that was a main reason the Bears allowed Monty to leave to the Lions. And a fourth rounder was then spent on Roschon Johnson, and Deonta Foreman came along as well. Herbert was appointed the starter, but he got hurt for like 5 games, I believe. He just kind of had an off year, and Adam Johns had this to say. And yet, it wouldn't be surprising if Herbert is considered on the bubble at House Hall. He's in a contract year, and the Bears drafted Roschon Johnson last year and signed Swift this year. I'm going to drop this story down. You guys follow along with that story. So he's on a contract year. Swift is here in free agency. Polls didn't pick him. There's a persistent rumor that he should be traded to Dallas for a 5th or 6th round pick. I've seen some action on Twitter a little bit saying that Dallas and the Chargers should be interested in that price for Herbert. But the question is, should we be selling him? I mean, we need to keep him. Let the chips fall where they may next year. And a story on Bears Digest too that reinforces this a little bit, provokes some thought. But I want to think about what happened last year. The Bears are searching for backs off the street by week 4 due to injuries. We are doing that. It's not like Herbert's a warm body. He has so much value. And here's like some facts behind that. He averaged 0.24 and 0.25 missed tackle force per attempt. That's a really good average. In the past 2 years, that's what his missed tackle average has been. And he's also averaged over 4.5 yards a carry over the last 2 years. That's a really strong showing. Also, PFF ranked him as their number 16 running back in 2023 and their number 33 in 2022. That's out of 63 qualifiers at the position. So he is no slouch. Okay, and the Bears have to look all the way back to the John Fox era. I know, gross. I sighed because I didn't even want to bring up John Fox's name, but that was the last time you're able to find a year that the starting running back played the whole season. Remember Jordan Howard? Simply put, though, backs get hurt, right? And if Swift went down, the same people that are saying trade him, the same people that are saying cut him, they'd be the same people roasting the Chicago Bears for making this move. You can book on that. I also think these stories are absolutely false, and that Chicago, they're going to keep him just simply because of the timing. Why teach him a new offense? Why do all of this if he's about to be shipped out? Also, in a draft where the Bears were absolutely starved for picks, Why not trade him for that fifth rounder, right? That's what he's rumored to be worth. Why wouldn't we have done that pre-draft? I mean, Poles, he traded a future fourth to get into the fifth to get Austin Booker, right, at defensive end, who, by the way, I'm really high on. I think he's going to be the answer eventually on the right side opposite Montez Sweat. I mean, just a key player that we drafted. I just think it's going to take past at least halfway through the season for it to come to fruition. What I'm saying, doing it now doesn't make sense if we didn't do it previously. The Bears also have this great insurance policy to protect against injury, right? He's only making just over 1 million this year. I mean, come on. Starting caliber player for almost free. Why would we get rid of him? And consider this. He's a pretty darn good back. Credit this stat to Bears Digest. In 2022, he led all NFL running backs with 5.7 yards per carry. And that's for backs who ran the ball more than 100 times. It's not a cherry pick stat on low carries. It's for real. He led all NFL running backs with 5.7 yards per carry in 2022. That's absolutely fantastic. And his speed is almost the same as DeAndre Smith. I said Smith. I always do that. It's the same as Swift. Swift just has a tiny bit more wiggle. Herbert runs a 4.4640 compared to 4.48 for Swift. And with the new return game rules, all the focus has been on Wheeler, Velus Jones, new signing, DeAndre Carter. I mean, that's a really good signing. That's what all the talk about the return game has been focused on. But why is everybody forgetting that Herbert has experience as a returner, dating all the way back to college? This is kind of the X factor when considering his roster spot, and he's one of the fastest guys on the team. He served, if you've forgotten, he served as the Bears' primary kick returner in 2021. He averaged 24.1 yards per return that year, so he did it really well. Special teams coordinator Richard Hightower, he talked to the media. He talked to media kick returner and to the media about kick returners and the new rules. And he talked about setting up the team to have two returners back deep during offseason work. He actually included Herbert in with players who are potential return men. He could be a player who helps them take advantage of the new kick return rules if they put two men back on returns. And looking at the running back position as well, looking at the running back room, Blasingame, Homer, they're there for predominantly special teams reasons. I mean, are you telling me that they're more valuable than Herbert? And if there's an injury to Swift or even Johnson, the Bears are going to be in the exact same situation. And I think Poles is pretty consistent in what he's doing with his team. This same thing goes for the offensive line as well. We had so many problems when we had an injury. So what did Poles do? He built versatile and experienced depth across the board, guys that can play every position on the line just to protect against injury. And I think the same is being done here in the running back room. They need to keep Herbert because he provides that. And he also provides the pop in the return game. So finally, the Bears, this is the last reason, the Bears have robust draft capital next year to go with the first and 2 seconds. Man, that trade with the Panthers, it just keeps on blessing us. I still think Lovie Smith, he should get a statue outside Soldier Field in gratitude for our number one. Also, maybe consider one for the Carolina Panthers GM. Just an idea, but I'll keep going. Maybe it's not as funny as I think it is. But to go with those picks, our number one, two number twos. The Bears also have a third, a fifth, and 3 sixth rounders. The fourth was traded to get Booker, and I would still do that all day. What's up, Presley? No reason to get rid of a much needed insurance policy for a latter pick that, frankly, it's not urgently needed. If Roshan develops the way I think he will, then we can let him walk next year, or at the very worst, sign Herbert to a pretty cheap deal to keep him in town. He's not going to break the bank. If Swift stays healthy too, if he handles all the RB1 duties, Herbert's free agent stock would take a huge hit ahead of a potential departure next spring. I mean, it's almost a guarantee if he doesn't get starter snaps, he's going to be available for really cheap, and perhaps we would still take advantage of that. So it's kind of like a win-win keeping him. I think Johnson actually, he's the real X factor on this year's Bears offense too. Someone who's underrated for his blocking, his receiving ability. He also supplies some untapped and valued power running ability, and I think he's just a guy that's really fills out this running back room. We've got a really good thing here going. I don't think Herbert should be on the chopping block whatsoever. And you guys let me know what you think. I'm kind of surprised that we're still hearing rumors that he's on the chopping block, that he's going to be traded, that he's going to be straight up cut. I think it's kind of silly. And maybe it is just during this lull before training camp that guys are just searching for something to write about, and you get a lot of bad takes. So you guys let me know what you think. I'm going to continue to supply you with talking points all the way up to camp, and it's just so much fun interacting with you guys. Bear down. Really appreciate you all. And hey, it's great. It's a great time to be a Bears fan. See ya.